Is Indiana in the Morning, the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Our conversation with Homer Center High School Principal Jody Rainey, brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. A guy who wears as many hats as anybody. Jody Rainey joins us this morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Todd. How are you today?
Terrific, and good to catch up with you here today. And you know, these school conversations that we have, they fall into a bit of a rhythm, and so I can ask you the same thing I've asked other school representatives over the course of the last week. Here we go into what is essentially the second half of the academic year. And just as an overview, let's look back at the first half and talk about how it's gone so far and what your expectations are. So let's talk about the first half of the year and whether they met your expectations or exceeded them.
I think at Homer Center, I'd say they exceeded mine. We've had, just like everybody else, we've had our share of adversity, especially dealing with COVID. We had a situation, we had to go remote in the fall because we had an increase of cases. And I just think we've taken that opportunity to learn and to improve how we, our safety plans and things of that nature. So overall, I think the first half of the year, I'm very pleased with the academic offerings that we have available for our students. I know because we do, as I said many a times with you before, we have in-person learners, we have synchronous learners that learn remotely but in real time, and then we also have asynchronous learners through our cyber school. And so I'm really happy that we have that many choices, and I'm really pleased with the teachers and the quality of the instructional program that we're able to deliver, not only in person but also for our remote synchronous learners. I'm very pleased. Our teachers have worked very hard, and our kids, for the most part, have responded exceptionally well to that learning modalities or the ones that they're in. So and they've been able to swing back and forth. And we've been remote, they've been able to do that seamlessly and transition back into in-person a couple different times. So overall, very pleased with the first half of the year. We don't use it as an excuse. We just kind of deal with it and do what we need to do. And I'm really happy with the way the teachers, the students, and really the parents have been great at communicating issues too of stuff at home. So I just think it's been collectively a learning experience, that's for sure, but one that isn't what we want, but we've been able to manage.
You get evaluations all the time, and I'm sure you get feedback from the teachers. Have they noticed any academic differences in performance based upon students who are online all the time as opposed to those who are able to actually be in school and in person?
Yeah, we I have a meeting tomorrow with my guidance counselors and Matt Rodkey, our assistant principal, to start looking at any students at the halfway point that we have a great concern about, and actually break those numbers down of how many kids that we be considering in danger of failing based on our in-person learners, our remote learners, and our synchronous and asynchronous learners. So, I would think that we do have some kids that I am concerned about, but that's every year, even if we didn't have COVID. So, but overall, that we're going to do, our, the things we do to intervene, and we have a whole half of a year to help those kids recover, and that's what we intend to do. So the first thing is just to go through and double check our data and make sure. So, but I think that, I think the only difference that we really see is, because you got to remember, our in-person learners are learning in the same classroom as our synchronous learners are too.
Yeah.
They're just not there in person. They're there through technology in real time. And so the biggest thing I think that I've heard from our teachers is we might be about a week behind where we normally would be within our delivery of our curriculum. And but that's, only being a week behind based on the circumstances that, we have. I'll take it. I think that's great. And, I still believe nothing beats in-person learning. But, this is a good option for people to stay safe and for people to also, some of our kids do learn better remotely. Some don't, but some do. And so I'm really happy with that so far. And I'm glad. If we're only a week behind, that's a lot better than I would have anticipated.
We are approaching the 1 month mark for winter sports and extracurricular activities. And we've noted, of course, there have been some cancellations and postponements of some games across the platform, some scheduling readjustments. How has it gone for Homer Center? It seems to have gone pretty well.
Yeah, it's gone pretty well. I can't think of a game that we've had to postpone or reschedule due to COVID or any other reason yet. Obviously, our girls' team is in the hunt. A tough loss against West Shamokin, but otherwise pretty much unblemished. We had a challenge from Marion Center last night, but we were able to prevail, and so overall pretty good. The boys' team. They are struggling in the win and loss column pretty well, but, like I said before, we have the opportunity to play, and I know that the kids are still working hard and the coaches are. And we also have, we have a co-op with Blairsville, so we have a few kids that wrestle for Blairsville, and we have some swimmers. We have 2 kids that swim, and, Marion Center has been gracious enough to work out a way that we've done in the past with them, to get our kids in the pool and get them qualifying times for districts and things like that. So we're very appreciative of those schools that have helped provide opportunities for our kids in areas that we don't necessarily have many opportunities for.
Other activities that are involved in school life, of course, there are school plays and there are field trips and various extracurricular after-school activities. And I want to ask you about those as well today. What's it been like from that standpoint?
Well, field trips, we pretty much not much, obviously, with just so many of the different restrictions that are still out there, and that's okay. I mean, those opportunities. I'm a big believer that learning occurs outside the 4 walls of our school. So that's we've had to be creative on how we provide some extended opportunities for kids in that way. Just had a conversation about 20 minutes ago about prom, and obviously my intention at this point would be, we're still holding out to see if we can have a formal prom. And if not, then, we'll still hold out and maybe have to start shifting gears because kids wouldn't have enough time to get all their gowns and stuff and hopefully be able to hold some type of prom in May. So we've had those conversations. So the field trips have been a little bit different. We have a lot of people that come in, especially in our law class, and share different concepts that we're trying to teach, and get people with real experience in the field to come in and talk to our kids and meet with our kids. And those have been a little more challenging as well. So, we're making do. Those are things that we do miss, and we're long for the days, when we can get back to that.
School life can settle into a routine. It actually, we know it does settle into a routine as every other segment of life does. So, the custodial staff, the cafeteria workers, they all are pretty well versed in what needs to be done. The students themselves, in terms of following after the protocols, sometimes those things can fall by the wayside and you begin to get a little bit lazy. I'm sensing from the conversation with you and from other school administrators too that's not really been the case. The kids are right up on it.
Our kids are awesome, and I say this, I know even from an athletic perspective, when we talked about mask wearing and restrictions and crowds and things like that, I try to remind people, go back to when you were a player in school. I know when I played in school, they told me I would have had to wear body armor, a football helmet, and strap a 50-pound weight around my waist in order to play basketball. I'd have been like, well, get that stuff strapped on me and let's go. Sometimes I just think kids understand, they just want to be in school. They want to play their sports and be with their friends and stuff of that nature, and they're willing to do what they need to do in order to get that to happen. So we've had no issues. I mean, every once in a while you got to remind a kid to hike their mask up or something like that, but for the most part, they've adapted. They're more resilient than we give them credit for. They just roll with the changes and stuff. I mean, I'm sure that they would love nothing more to take a mask off and throw it in the garbage can, and like most of us would, but they realize if that's what they have to do in order to have the opportunities that they want to have, to be in school, to be with friends, to play sports, to live kind of COVID normal lifestyle, and they're willing to do that because they know the alternative is they don't come to school, they don't get to play sports, they don't get to see their friends as often. So they are smart enough to weigh those two things out and determine, like, look, this isn't what I really want to do, but the alternative is a lot worse, so I'll do what I need to. And I think that talking to other administrators, I think that seems to be the case with other school districts and students in general. Kids have been awesome through this, and it makes our job a lot easier. And frankly, it makes it kind of enjoyable just to see the kids be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, final question for Jody Rainey this morning. Put on your Heritage Conference President's hat, and let's talk about the current seasons and where they stand. Any adjustments need to be made? Are we thinking in terms of the playoffs that everything, or the Heritage Conference Championships in basketball, everything's still on schedule and going forward?
Everything's on schedule right now. The championship games would be played Friday, February 26th. The semifinals to happen the 24th, and that gives our teams a lot of opportunity. The only question that we have that remains unanswered is about a 22nd game. In the past, that's always been the crossover game on the same time as our semifinals. And so we're trying to get an answer to that question so we can get our maximum allowable games in. And so, overall, I mean, things are going well, and we've been pretty open in the conference. A lot of administrators have been sharing out, like, if they have an idea or if they have something that they've tried that works for them to make our, capacity limits, or how we manage that, or how we manage, face coverings and stuff. We realize we're not perfect, but the effort's there, and we're always continually trying to improve. So overall, everything seems to be on schedule. Right now, as I said, the last regular season game would be the 26th, and then district seedings are to be done on Saturday, December 27th, and district tournament play is to begin Monday, March 1st.
Yes. Right on clockwork there. We appreciate all those extra efforts being made to get these kids their games and their classes and everything else. Jody Rainey, thanks so much for being with us today.
Hey, thanks, Todd. And one last thing, Todd, by the way, just give me a call on the side, and we'll show you how to hook into that system.
All right.
Ask me. So just let me know when you have a few minutes.
I'll be there tonight, so maybe we could work something out.
I'll try to get someone there to get you hooked up.
Good stuff. Thanks, Jody.
Thank you, Todd.
It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.1 FM and AM 1160.1.